Hands on heads, eyes on me. 1, 2, 3. Welcome, Cubs and Lions, to our next video of the week. We are going to do calendar, read a story, I'll answer some of the bee questions that we've got, and I'll talk a little bit about our caterpillars. Okay, and then I will have a video for our craft, and we'll practice our bee song. Okay? All right. Does anybody know what day it is today? Yesterday was Monday. So, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. It is Tuesday, May. What? Let's count and find out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. It is Tuesday, May 26th. We have a birthday to celebrate tomorrow. Gabe, I can't wait to see you in our Zoom meeting and sing happy birthday for you. All right, okay. So we have some bee questions. Here's my little bee. I made him up. He's ready to go in our Zoom meeting. And I can't wait for our meeting so we can have some fun activities and find out how everybody's been doing this week. I'm loving all the things that you are sharing in Blooms. It's been really interesting to see all the things that you guys have planted and all your show and shares and all your crafts. I love it. Thank you. We miss you so much, and it's nice to stay in touch with you by seeing those things. All right. Friends, we have about 4 questions about bees. So, number 1. Let's see here. What is a beekeeper? So, hopefully we will have a video of a beekeeper coming, and that will be a little bit more information about who a beekeeper is and what does he do. So, a beekeeper is basically a person who owns and breeds bees for their honey. So what they do is they have hives, and oftentimes you'll see them just as big white boxes kind of out in fields, and that's a good place for them because there's often lots of flowers out in the crops, and so the bees can go and pollinate the crops, and they can collect honey, they collect nectar, and then they go back to their hives to make the honey. And that leads us into our next question, which is, how does a bee make honey? So bees make honey by going to the flowers and collecting the nectar that you find in them. So what they do is they have they have a proboscis like a butterfly. Sorry, I'm just unpacking my little bee life cycle so I can show it to you. Okay, so bees have a proboscis similar to a butterfly. It's not curled though. So a butterfly's one is curled. A bee's is not. And then they stick their tongue out through that, and then they suck up the nectar. And then they roll around a little bit, and they get pollen all over. Then they fly to the next one, and the next one, and the next one. But the nectar is basically stored in one of their stomachs called a crop. So it's like an extra stomach, basically, that it has. And so then it flies back to the hive, and they find another bee. And then basically what they do is they spit up that nectar into the other bee's mouth. And then they spit it back and forth and back and forth and around to a whole bunch of different bees until it's partially digested. And then they spit it into the honeycomb. And so then they have a little cell in the honeycomb, and they spit it into that cell. And then they use their wings and they fan it. They have to fan that partially digested nectar. until the water evaporates and it's thick and sweet and syrupy. And now they have honey. And then what they do is they have kind of like a waxy secretion, and then they put that on top like a little lid, and it seals the honey in. And it can stay in there for quite some time. Seems about indefinite, but they use it. So they use the honey that they make to survive over the winter. And that's what feeds them throughout the winter, because they can't go out and get their nectar and make new honey or anything like that. So they have to store enough in order to feed themselves throughout the winter. All right. So basically when we're eating honey, and it tastes so good, we're eating bee spit. But it's still so good. I wouldn't stop eating it. All right. How long do bees live? Now, worker bees, which are the bees that go out to the flowers and get the nectar and the pollen, and then they come back and they make the honey and they keep everybody warm and they do all the jobs. Worker bees live only about 4 to 6 weeks in the summertime because it's their busiest season. They work so hard. It takes so many bees and so much flying around and so many flowers for them to make a jar of honey. A lot. Okay? So honey is actually is expensive because of that, because it takes so much work and you can get so little back from the hives, from all the work that those bees do. It's enough for them in the wintertime, but when people want to eat it and bears want to eat it and other animals want to eat the honey out of the hives, then it's a lot of work for the little amount that they get. Okay, so worker bees, 4 to 6 weeks in the summertime, when that's their busiest season and they're working super hard. If they are born or hatched, so here's like kind of what the egg looks like inside of a honeycomb. Here's half of like a honeycomb. So this would be like the cell. They would spit the honey into it and fill it up. Not when the egg is in there, but then when the egg's in there, they leave it in there. And then eventually it becomes a little larva. Kind of looks like a little caterpillar. But so there's a little larva inside there, and worker bees will feed them and take care of them, and then eventually they kind of go through a little bit of a metamorphosis similar to butterflies and ladybugs, and it looks like this. Okay, and this would be maybe the pupa phase, I guess. I'm not sure. And then they come out like this. Okay, so egg, larva, pupa, bumblebee, or honeybee, sorry. So those worker bees, they do live, if they're hatched or if they metamorphosize into a full-grown bee later, like in the fall, in the autumn, then they could live up to 5 months throughout the winter, basically. Probably long enough to keep the queen warm and open up some honey cells and keep everybody fed. And then the queen is always laying new eggs, and so then there will be new babies born all the time. Now the queen can live 2 to 5 years, and basically she just stays in the hive and just lays eggs. She doesn't have to do anything else. The workers go out, they collect the nectar, they bring back the nectar and make the honey, and then they feed the babies, and they look after the eggs, and then they make sure that the queen is getting fed, and they do all the work. So the queen, if she's not doing a good job of laying eggs, the worker bees will actually start to raise a new queen. And so then we can say that the queen will live about 2 to 5 years, depending, and then basically she gets replaced if she is not laying the eggs. All right, last question. This is an interesting one, and it was hard to find some answers. I will try to find a good picture of it for us in the next video, because I wasn't able to find a really good one to share. How many hearts does a bee have? It has 1, but it's not a heart like in our chest, okay? It is, so inside of a bee, because they have an exoskeleton, and their skeleton's on the outside, everything inside is kind of gooey. And it's hard to get a good actual picture of it. So we can get a drawing of it. And so that's what I'm trying to find, is a nice clear drawing so that you can have an idea of what the inside looks like. But basically, inside of a bee, it's open circulation. So the hemoglobin chemical that's inside there, it's not really blood like we have, but it just circulates throughout the entire exoskeleton inside of there. Now the bee has what's called a heart, and it runs from the abdomen through the thorax and even into its head. So a bee is made up of 3 body parts: head, thorax, abdomen. They have wings, and they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 legs, okay, 2 antennae, and a proboscis and a tongue. Now that heart is long and skinny, and it runs along its back all the way the length of its body. And so then basically it doesn't beat or pump like our hearts do. It has these little holes in it, and it does kind of, I guess, help to fluctuate and help to circulate all of that stuff inside. Okay, so they do only have 1, but it runs their entire body, and it just helps to circulate things. All right, hopefully that was helpful. Lions, letter sound of the week, TH. Remember that it can make 2 sounds. It can make th, and it can make th. Okay, think and that, or this, these, and those. Okay, so find something that either begins or ends with that th or th sound. Awesome. And cubs, letter Y, yawning big. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, yawning big. We draw the little one and then the long one. So we would write this arm of it, and then this one goes below the dotted line, if you can see it here. Okay, Y, yawning big. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Great job. Okay, I can't wait to see you all in your Zoom meetings tomorrow. Let's read a quick story called Bella and Jack Bring Back the Bees. And this was produced by Kids Can Press. So, Bella was bee crazy and Jack wasn't. When Bella wanted to study honeybees for their science fair project, Jack moaned, "I don't even like bees." Bella insisted, "I already know a lot about bees, so the project will be super easy peasy." Jack had at least 4 other great ideas, but he couldn't argue with that. "This weekend, we can bike to the farm in the city and talk to Mr. Papadopoulos, the beekeeper. Mr. P loves bees even more than me." That Saturday, Bella told Jack about how she once dressed in a beekeeper's suit and helped Mr. P check out the hives. "That sounds scary." "No, bees are gentle," said Bella. "They're scared of us, disturbing the queen and her thousands of new babies." "Thousands of baby bees?" Jack shuddered. "And 50,000 workers," said Bella, grinning. When they reached Mr. P's hive, Bella knew something was wrong. Her old beekeeper friend sat alone on a stump, looking terribly sad. "My bees are gone," said Mr. P. "I was afraid of this. Honeybees everywhere are vanishing." "That's terrible," said Bella. Mr. P sighed. "I wish I could tell them I'm sorry." Bella was confused. "Sorry? But you loved the bees and took good care of them." Mr. P was thoughtful. "I think they needed something more." Bella thought she might cry, but instead she told Jack, "We are going to find Mr. P's bees." "We are," said Jack. "Yes," said Bella. "It's our mission." Panicked, Jack said, "But what about our science project?" Bella gave him a look. Jack sighed. The friends set off. We could put up posters like when a dog goes missing, said Jack. There's no time, Bella said. Let's ask if anyone has seen the bees. They met a couple of farmers picking blueberries and told them about Mr. P's bees. Oh, we need bees, said one farmer. They carry pollen from flower to flower so that food like these blueberries will grow. Did you know that we have the bees to thank for 1 in every 3 bites of food we eat? Amazing, said Bella, who thought she already knew everything about bees. The other farmer told them he hardly sees bees anymore. In the old days there were fields of flowers. Honeybees need flowers, lots of them, different kinds, different colors. Bees drink the nectar and turn it into honey for their hive. I don't see bees here either, said Jack. Maybe this is an impossible mission. Bella sighed. We have to keep trying. They kept looking until Jack's stomach grumbled with hunger. Bella jumped off her bike. She danced in a figure 8. A wiggle to the right, a waggle to the left, a frantic wiggle-waggle, and then she went around in circles, all the while pointing to her bike basket. What are you doing? Asked Jack. Bees dance to tell each other where to find food, and I packed us lunches. Jack ate all of his lunch and half of Bella's. I wonder what bees eat if there aren't any flowers, said Jack. Said Bella. Back on their bikes, they reached some rows of new houses. There's nothing here for the bees to eat either, said Bella. She began flapping her arms as fast as she could. What are you doing now? Asked Jack. Bees flap their wings 200 to 600 beats per second, and they'll travel almost 10 kilometers just to find food. Then Mr. P's bees could be anywhere by now, Jack said, alarmed. Bella looked at him slyly. Wait, are you starting to like bees? Maybe, he said. They seem really important. So let's keep going, said Bella. She was more determined than ever. Next, they searched their neighborhood until finally, exhausted and frustrated, they found a place to sit. Then, at the same time, they saw the honeybees. The friends marveled as the bees flew up, up, up to the roof of a fancy hotel. Follow those bees, shouted Bella. They might be Mr. P's. They ran through the hotel's lobby and took the elevator all the way up to the top. They were in awe. They had found a bee paradise. But the beekeeper had sad news for them. When bees disappear like Mr. P's did, we never see them again. One reason is that there aren't as many wildflowers growing now, and there's not enough food for the bees. Jack's bottom lip trembled. Bella took a deep breath. She had something important to tell the bees. Bella curtsied to one of the hives. Your Majesty, said Bella to the queen bee, we're so sorry that the honeybees are disappearing, but we promise to help bring back the bees. The beekeeper smiled and gave them packets of wildflower seeds. You can start with these. When they presented their winning science fair project the following week, Bella dressed in a bee costume and Jack wore a bee-striped tie. To start, Bella told the audience, we need to give the bees more wildflowers. Let's be like honeybees, Jack added. Let's work together. Mr. P jumped up and applauded. Soon everyone was pledging to help bring back the bees. So, in order to bring back the bees, we need wildflowers in parks, rooftop gardens and beehives, bee-friendly school gardens and beehives, wildflowers in gardens and in planters, and wildflowers in window boxes. These are all ways that we can help feed the bees. Bella and Jack had finished their project, but not their mission. They kept their promise to the bees. Wherever they went, they scattered wildflower seeds. These aren't just seeds, said Bella. I know, said Jack. They're hope for the bees. The end. All right, so Bella's awesome bee facts. A typical honeybee colony has 1 queen and up to 50,000 workers. Bees do a round dance and a waggle dance to show other bees where to find wildflowers. Bees have good color vision. They especially like blue, purple, violet, white, and yellow. So when you're planting your flowers, maybe look for those colors. blue, purple, white, and yellow. Bees take pollen from one flower to another, which helps grow fruits, nuts, and vegetables. Bees need wildflower pollen and nectar to stay happy and healthy. All right, and if you want to, you can go to bringbackthebees.ca, and usually they will send you a free packet of seeds, and they seem to be different seeds every year. One year I got just a mix of wildflowers, and then I got another year I got sunflowers too. So I think it just depends year by year what they have to offer. So feel free to get those, and if you can plant them somewhere, then feel free to help the bees. All right, Cubs and Lions, see you soon in our craft video. Goodbye.